All right, cyber traders, welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear, and let's hop right into it, of course, with that in mind, guys. We have class finishing up today, not finishing up, rather, class continuing today. Phase 2, lesson 2 for all of us here inside the trading room really fast. If you guys just from yesterday, to recall, the phase 2 lesson 2 class was actually postponed from yesterday. There was a small issue with Zoom, not even us, Zoom. That issue has been fixed. We're going to look to post the link shortly after we finish this meeting up. I look forward to it. Hopefully much like you guys as well. Dale, Chuck, Cliff, Kathleen, Bonnie, Michael, Pat, Kathy, and Stefan. Perfect. All right, so let's hop into it, folks. We see the Dow pushing back up a bit heading into the afternoon. A little bit of a dump off going into the early onsets of the afternoon after the Powell speech, but we ended up seeing a nice recovery. IBIO is up on the screen right now as well. So, let's just jump into this to begin, and then from there, as usual, we'll go from top to bottom, see what else we can get going into the close. IBIO going into this morning was a dud. I mean, it just little pre-market activity. It was kind of slumping off here. The bigger talking point for me here is this move was to be expected. Not to say exactly when, but just seeing a stock like IBIO drop, I mean, from the last week and a half, from the last 3 weeks, from 7 all the way down. I mean, of course, it can keep going. But at what point does this actually look to, bounce and move back up? We ended up seeing a small push back on Monday. So, this morning, I was not looking at this whatsoever. I ended up turning over to this with one of my students in a coaching session, and I said to him, hey, if this can get over to, maybe set a tight stop and, just kind of see where it goes. 2 is a major level. And, I took my eyes off the stock as well myself. So I come back to it. It was already pushing up to 206, 207 at the time. I didn't want to jump in and chase, but either way, it would have made some good money on this run. So yeah, IBIO, it's near the highs of the day right now. I wouldn't mind coming back to this, putting this on our list by the end of the meeting here, but I want to see if there's anything moving faster, anything moving more volatile, a little bit sharper. Looks all right, though. Level 1 stock, IBIO. We're familiar with the name, too. All right. Jose is saying PED never ended up opening up from its halt. So you know what? Let's just jump to that. It's number 1 on the gainers list still. So what's going on with PED here? I'll tell you, I didn't see any news in relation to this halt. It got halted right around noon, right around 12:04 Eastern time, and since hasn't reopened. So it is news pending. I mean, the only reason that this is halted for as long as it is for that reason. It could be the SEC, it could be news pending, it could be the company itself, but it's in relation to news that's going to be coming out. When a stock gets halted from volatility, it usually takes about 5 or 10 minutes for it to reopen. I mean, it's 2:30 right now, so it's a little bit after 5 or 10 minutes here. So I don't know if this is even going to reopen up today. We'll find out. But with that in mind, we will put PED on our watch list. Doesn't mean that we're going to trade it. Just for right now, we're going to watch it to see if it ends up reopening at all. And if it does, I mean, we'll try and follow it from there. Again, I wish I had more info for you guys on this trade. I wish I could tell you good news, bad news in between. There's nothing right now. Nothing on Benzinga Pro, at least for right now. And we'll see at least if it ends up reopening later on. All right, keep it pushing though. Number 2, PER, a little pump and dump, cheapy. I'm gonna pass, and at least from this point, folks, we'll just kind of skim through. Actually, really, I could just skip through a bunch of these because they're all like really below $1, pretty cheap, and they're not normally gonna make a big move at this point. VBIV, just to go over this one, of course, from this morning, it was trading a whole lot of volume early on in the pre-market. So seeing it trade 178 plus million shares at this point in the day is not surprising at all. Also, the fact that this stock is just moving sideways is not surprising whatsoever. So we ended up seeing this stock make a nice run prior to 8 o'clock from 360-ish all the way up towards 450. 450 was the major resistance that myself and Fausto were calling out going into the market open for you folks. Ended up seeing it make the push shortly after the open, ended up blasting over 450. Seemed like a pretty clean, simple move. Not every stock offers a very clean and simple move. So, this was pretty simple to take a profit. Ended up breaking over the 450, moved up to 5, ended up failing to break higher later on. 1030, 1045, our kind of reversal area here, ended up pulling back pretty sharply. And really at this point, once it kind of bottomed out around 420, it was right by its opening bell print 417. Actually, it was an absolute perfect bounce right off of 417 or so. We ended up seeing this kind of make a small little move off it, but I'll tell you, going into the afternoon, I just feel like it's exhausted. This might even dump back down later on today. That's what I thought, at least after we saw this kind of pull back a lot more here. All right. AUTO Auto. I saw this just earlier breaking new highs, and it's holding right now. So, it's easy. We'll put this on our list here. Not to say the trade's easy. I'm saying that it's easy for us to put this on our list, rather. Kind of a fluctuating spread, thinner order book at times. You got 3 shares here at 448. So it's not really going to provide good support. I would assume 450 to be a level, but it's holding around 450. You can see from the volume spike here, that's where a lot of that volume got filled from 450 and shortly above. So for what it's worth, we'll put this on our list right now. Hopefully this ends up making the pop sooner than later. All right, what else we have here? REKR. I saw Fausto call this out way early after the market opened up off the halt. Ended up just kind of fizzling out from there, right? And DGLY, Digital Ally, stock that we are all very familiar with. I'll do my spiel right now in DGLY, not only back from, April, May time here, rather June, but, a number of years back. I mean, we don't like trading this necessarily because of what's going on in the world in the sense of like, the riots and everything, but disaster does create good opportunity within the stock market. The last time that we traded DGLY prior to June and July and so forth today, look at this back from 2014. So DGLY is a company that makes the police body cameras, I believe. So, just to go back, I mean, with everything that had happened back in late 2014 with the Ferguson, Ferguson riots, Missouri, I was going to say not Mississippi, Missouri, ended up pumping up from 5 to 30 plus and then back down. So, we're familiar with the stock, not just from back then, but back from, early to mid June, seeing it run up, make a similar type pump and dump. At least going into this afternoon, I'll put this on our list. It kind of pulled back quite a bit from the high 269, but still making a higher low. We're familiar with the trade at least, so we'll keep it in mind. If this doesn't make a second big move later on today, folks, then definitely keep it on your side list for tomorrow. If it doesn't make that move tomorrow, just keep it in mind for Monday. Figure at some point it's going to make a second or third little, run back up. All right, IZEA, just too flat, not doing much right now. Another familiar name, though, PEIX. We've seen this stock make a huge run over the last month, going back into July and August here, from 1 all the way up to 5 and back down. So, kind of similar to that IBIO trade we started off with, where that was tanking, and we we're saying, well, when is it going to move back up? Well, for as much as this moved up, when is this going to pull back down? So we've been following this stock, obviously, since this whole run, but over the last week, during this very meeting, you've heard me say that. It ended up pulling back quite a bit over the last few days, but with as much as this pulled back, same question. When is this going to move back up? So this ended up making a very strong push after 9:30. I just think very flat here for the afternoon. So again, much like DGLY, this stock has been on our side list, kind of on the back burner. If there's nothing else really looking that great, I'll certainly check out the PEIX or, AMC as well. I mean, AMC, we've been following on and off over the last 2 months, but, even over the last week, a very consistent move on the daily chart. And today, obviously, a little pre-market activity going into the market open here, right? From 9:15, it started to move up. It got our interest. From there, after the open, took off beautifully. So AMC and then also Cinemark, if I'm not mistaken. Everything was moving up today, right? Cinemark pushed up nicely after the open, still holding strong pretty nicely at the highs right now. Where AMC, I'm not as likely to put on our list, just given the fact it kind of dumped off, volume waned off. I'll tell you, CNK is holding near the highs, moving up to them right now very nicely, but at this point, doing pretty good. All right, cool. So we have CNK, we have DGLY, we have auto, and then the PED stock, if and when that stock reopens. AIM looked a little bit nicer on the 5-minute chart running up here, but it's pushing up here still. Made a nice pop earlier this morning, pulled back. I just feel like it's not going to make that big pop that we're looking for today. Again, we traded the stock over the last month and a half, running up from 260-ish all the way up towards 425 and back down. So, this stock does have range. It's just a matter of when. When is this really going to look to move back up? I don't think it's going to be this afternoon, but again, and much like the others, we'll keep this in mind for tomorrow and early next week. All right, Tenant Healthcare, THC, not the pot, but stock, THC. Pushing up beautifully. Very nice run on this stock going into the close, THC. I'm going to put this on our list. I would assume the next resistance, and it shows on the ask. It's not like a sexy 30, 50,000 share order, but 4,400 on the ask so far, 2850. That's by far our biggest order so far on the ask right there. I didn't mean to click on NAK, but while we're at it, I guess we'll look at it. Nice pop in pre-market, dumped off after the open. Tried to move to fill that gap a bit on the daily chart, but obviously failed shortly after the open. What was I going to click on here? Oh, that's right. Children's Place, PLCE. That's right. My scanner's refreshed, but Place, PLCE. Nice pop earlier after the market opened and ran up until this point here prior to 2 o'clock. Stock is shortable, so it dropped off nicely. Could have been a good opportunity once it rebroke underneath 21. I would say if there was more opportunity on the short side here prior to this break of 21, I'd put it on our list. And otherwise, I'd say it's holding near the highs at that time. So perhaps to see continuation. But yeah, it already broke. It already dropped off. I feel like we're done on this trade. Abercrombie and Fitch, man, we got a lot of familiar stocks, at least on the gainer side. By familiar, I just mean stocks that we've traded routinely over the years, over the months, over the weeks. ANF is more like an earnings play. They came out with earnings this morning, so nice pop, ran up after the open, but again, kind of similar to Place, dying off here. Not a whole lot going on for right now. And another one, Amarin, AMRN. More recently, we followed AMRN off a huge gap down off of bad news. This is a number of months back. It was down like 65, 75%. Filled the gap, squeezed up nicely on the daily chart, but, kind of fizzled out today. Nice pop, run up. Actually, I think this was a continued move from yesterday. We caught this going into yesterday afternoon briefly, but today, nicer run. It looks like it's kind of stalling out here right now. It is near the highs, or closer to the highs than Children's Place and the other one, and it is shortable. So you know what? For right now, maybe I'm a sucker for AMRN, but we'll put this on our list. Hasn't really dropped off too much yet. If it ends up diving off, it would be a good short opportunity. All right, Dave & Buster. Geez, these scans reset, I feel like, every 5 seconds. VVPR, I guess I landed on this. Kind of holding near the highs. Volume kind of stinks, though. All right, last one on the gainer side. Dave & Buster's, play. Nice run from earlier. Actually, second to last one. Whenever I look at Dave & Buster's, I'll also look at Six Flags. They're just entertainment companies. And back in late February, early March, when everything was dropping and kind of running back up to a degree, these stocks are moving similarly. Play and Six. But for right now, both are flat. Yeah, we're going to pass. All right, Grant is asking in the chat board, did you get to the FLDM yet? I did not. That's because it's down 25%. So trust me, I'm going to get to that very shortly, Grant, if not in the next couple minutes. FLGT dropped off earlier after the open, flat right now. It's holding near the lows, which, I would say I do like. Just kind of a wacky spread, thin order book. And QDEL pretty pricey, and that leads us to FLDM. All right, so FLDM, folks, oh my goodness. So you see the big yellow line I have up here on my chart? Let's do a little rewind. It can't take too much time. We got class coming up very shortly, but yesterday morning, I'm saying yesterday morning, not yesterday at all. I'm actually saying pre-market here. In the pre-market, 3 minutes before yesterday's market open, we ended up seeing, I think it was like a 659,000 share transaction on the time and sales at 1170. So I was saying to a lot of us yesterday, right at the end of the day, keep your eyes on 1170. It's going to be a big level for tomorrow. Well, market closed. It made a little pop and drop back under 1170. Generally, it held 1170 as a resistance. This ended up opening up much lower in pre-market. And then once the market even opened up from that point, that 1170 level was irrelevant to today's trading. So this thing just got crushed. That 1170 level wasn't to say it was going to break over that level today and run right back up to make a new high. If anything, the fact it's under 1170, we were going to treat it as a really strong top. But with this moving very far down early on in the pre-market, it just became pretty irrelevant. And then even after that, once the market opened up, it made a little pop and drop from 10, and this thing just drop like an anvil. So you know what? Right now, going into this afternoon, I honestly don't mind putting this on our list. It's moving up very nicely, actually, at this point, off of 8. We ended up seeing 8 act as a key level going into this morning. I ended up taking a small loss on this trade from 8. It was like super early on after the open, after it dropped off quite a bit. I was looking at an entry off of 8. I ended up taking the entry at first. It looked good, but then it ended up breaking lower. So, I ended up taking a 5-cent loss, moved on, ended up popping and dropping and then holding under the level throughout the whole day up until right now. And now, hey, if you ended up getting it off the breakout from 8, it would have paid off handsomely, right up to 850. So hopefully there's more to this run left. I mean, either up or down, either way. Just give me something to work with in terms of direction. I think for trading 40.5 million shares, there might be a chance where this just kind of flattens out at this point, especially after breaking over 8. But just given the range, the last 2 days, the volume, I mean, it's hard to not put this just on our list for right now, guys. All right. Oh, nope. That is not OPK. That's CHCI. OPK, Opco Health. This company had to do with antibody testing, and I think, I think that's exactly it. Antibody testing for coronavirus, and then we've been following the stock for quite a bit over the many months. But I think they had some affiliation with Major League Soccer and also the NFL. So the reason I bring that up is because over the last few days, we ended up hearing reports of like ginormous numbers of false positive tests for COVID across the NFL. If they're not false positives, it's just to say that the testing is very inaccurate compared to what they first thought. So we ended up seeing OPK drop off quite a bit over the last few days, and today a really big move on the way down, all the way down essentially to 3. It's squeezing back up right now, so kind of similar to that FLDM trade. I'll put this on our list. Looks pretty good just in terms of a tradable stock right now, moving up off the support 310, just about 25 cents. And at least for right now, we'll see where it goes. All right, LCI. We were looking at them actually yesterday afternoon. We were saying that LCI had earnings yesterday after the bell. Not a whole lot to it. Ended up dropping off a little bit. Then the bigger move came after the market opened up this morning. Just really flat here for right now. All right, LI. We ended up seeing LI Auto run up the last few days, break all-time highs, and we were commenting on this guy saying, for a new IPO, for this to be shortable, that's pretty rare. That really is uncommon, right? Usually off an IPO technically is considered impossible to borrow, but if your broker does have inventory to give to you, you just have to request it. So, more often than not, you can't do it, but this stock is even just shortable. It doesn't even say HB next to the ticker. So we were able to short this early on this morning, broke down below 2150, broke all the way down towards an eventual low of the day, 1930. And yeah, I mean, it's squeezing back up for right now, but I'd say in the same line of thinking with FLDM, with OPK, you could say the same even with like an IBIO. We'll get back to that. It's on our side list for right now, but yeah, LI, I'm going to put right back on our list. Holding the 20 level pretty nicely as support. If that re-breaks under 20, don't be surprised if this ends up pulling back a bit further. All right, CLSK, familiar name. Want to take a look at this briefly, but not doing a whole lot. And then OSTK dropped off quite a bit earlier on this morning. I guess trying to pull back a bit right now, holding underneath 100. All right. Well, I'll tell you, folks, I think that we're good. I mean, we have a decent list so far. I mean, if there's anything else that's up, down, left, right, more than 10% that's making a strong move right now, I mean, just let me know. Got from Cliff. That's right. All right. So there is a new IPO, XPEV. So Jerry, I saw a few of us jump in and out of this trade. It looks like a mess. This looks like an absolute mess right now. Off the debut, we saw this kind of pop up, pull back from there. It made a nice run, ended up holding resistance perfectly at 25, and from there kind of dumped off. So, it's volatile, don't get me wrong, but there's like no real direction with this year. Especially after topping off 25, there could be direction just completely the other way down. So for right now, I'll pass, but it'll be one I'll keep in mind, Cliff. I mean, it's trading a lot of volume off its IPO today, 62 plus million. So tomorrow, I'll keep this in mind. I'll write this down for my side list at least. All right. I got Gene the Money Machine inside our trading room saying he picked up 16 cents just now on the LI trade. Wanted to turn over to that pretty quick. He got in from 2005, pretty much right at the time as we were doing this. Very nice job, Gene. He got from a bunch of us here. That's right, Neo, right? How could I not mention Neo here? So Neo wouldn't have been on the percent gainers or losers list. It's only down 2.9%. It's holding underneath 20, so that is pretty significant. I would like to think, should we happen to see this not break higher, then it's only going to dump off a bit further into the close. It looks like the Dow is starting to kind of maybe pull back a little bit off its last peak. Neo might look to perhaps go with just generally the markets and how they're moving. But yeah, for right now, I mean, it's just in a tighter range. I'm going to pass on putting Neo on our main special list. It's obviously one that we would keep in mind. But for right now, I think there's better opportunity, guys. Like OPK is better opportunity right now than Neo. CNK Cinemark, that looks like it's just going to run up higher into the afternoon. Looking pretty strong. THC, Tenant Healthcare, again, not a pot stock, a healthcare stock. We ended up seeing them trend up very nicely today, so there's great opportunity on that as well. And aside from that, though, guys, there might be more aside from the airlines, or there might be more across the airlines and cruise lines and side list stocks otherwise within the final hour of the day. Check out an AAL. I don't know about that, actually. Airlines look really flat. UAL, yeah. All right, so maybe I'm wrong with that. I don't know if the airlines are going to move as well into the afternoon. They all look pretty dead, pretty flat. MRVL from John. It's moving up nicely. I mean, it's a tradable stock, John. So it's one that I just say, if you've made money on this trade today, then definitely put it on your list. Right now, it's moving off 35.70-ish up towards 36.25. So it's 50-cent move for a $30 stock, $36 stock. Nice trend, tradable, but I just feel like there's better opportunity, like I said, just elsewhere. Jerry says pilots are furloughed, thousands of them. Be careful if government money isn't given. Okay, so you might happen to see a drop off across the market, and with that, obviously everything moving with it. But with what Jerry is saying, with so many pilots being furloughed, you might see a sharper drop across the airlines. All right, we'll see. Right now, I just will say super flat. So not going to be worth the opportunity to day trade into this afternoon. That's all. Let's look at Peloton really quickly, guys. I forgot about Peloton. Peloton we called out earlier. It was moving up nicely, but I guess it dumped off, at least for right now. All right, folks, I think that we're good. I will check out IBIO to finish it, but otherwise, I think we'll call it. We got 3, we got 6, we got 9. Not a bad list. Not too many, not too little. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of holding near the highs right now. Don't get me wrong, it could pop. For right now, we'll just kind of keep this on the side. All right, folks, so I'm going to post and tweet the picks. I see a bunch of us already in class. Thank God. Oh, my goodness. Trust me, the last person that wanted to reschedule class yesterday, guys, was me. So I look forward to class coming up later on this afternoon, guys, actually, very shortly from now, 3:05 p.m. Eastern time. For all of us tuning in on social media, if you'd like to learn about more with CTU, whether it being the online trading room here or the online classroom I'm actually referring to right now, make sure that you guys like, subscribe, notify yourself on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/cybertradingu. Otherwise, feel more than free to join us right inside our trading room, folks. All right, guys, for all of us inside the trading room, at least, I look forward to seeing most of you in class. For those of you that do not have access to this class, I know that Fausto and Rich will be taking you guys going into the close. Take care.